Hey guys, it's MJ Q&A coming to you from MassiveJoes.com. Look, a question I get all the time is what's the difference between a fat burner and a fat metabolizer? You know, what do they do? What's the differences between them? Should you be taking them together? So to address this question, we're going to firstly look at fat burners and exactly what they do. Then we're going to look at fat metabolizers and what they do. And importantly, what happens when you combine the two to create an ultimate fat burning stack. So firstly, fat burners. Look, now what fat burners are going to do is they're going to increase what we call your metabolic rate, which is the amount of calories that you're burning during exercise, the amount of calories that you're burning throughout the day. So they're going to push this metabolic rate up, which means the amount of calories that you burn, or what we call your calorie expenditure, is also going to go up. So if your calorie expenditure is going up and your calorie intake, i.e. the foods you're eating, stay the same or even decrease, you're going to find yourself in what we call a calorie deficit. The calorie deficit is where you start to experience weight loss. That's what fat burners do. The one thing with fat burners is, if I was to use the analogy, if I was to light a fire in the shelving behind me, that fire is not just going to go after the protein powder, it's going to go after the whole shelving and burn everything up. The fat burners do a very similar thing when you use them by themselves inside your body. They don't just go after body fat and burn that for energy to get your calorie expenditure up. They go after everything. So it's going to go after muscle tissue. It's going to go after glycogen. It's going to go after carbohydrates. It's going to go after anything it can to increase that calorie expenditure or that metabolic rate. So to use a bit of a segue into fat metabolizers, look, what fat metabolizers do by themselves is they tend to be based on the amino acid carnitine, or different types of it. So L-Carnitine, acetyl L-Carnitine. And what that particular amino acid does is it shuttles, or it transports stored body fat from where it's being stored in your body. So your stomach, your legs, your arms, wherever you genetically store body fat, it's going to take that body fat and transport that body fat into muscle cells, into what we call the mitochondria of your muscle cells, and that's where that body fat gets burnt for energy. So if we go back to the analogy of the fire in the shelving behind me, imagine you've got this fire, right? This fire in your body burning up all these calories, pushing your calorie expenditure up. And then you've got these fat metabolizers going, here, take this stored body fat for energy, use this as fuel, leave my muscle tissue alone, leave the glycogen, the carbohydrates alone, and just burn up as much of this body fat as you want. That's the ideal situation for fat loss. So you take your fat burner, you take your fat metabolizer. The best thing is to take them in conjunction with each other. And then not only do you get an increase in calorie expenditure, an increase in weight loss, but a high proportion of that calorie expenditure and that weight loss is going to come from stored body fat. So that's the answer to the question about what the difference is between fat burners and fat metabolizers and whether you should take them together. If you got any questions for MJ Q&A, hit us up with an email, QA, that's the letter Q, the letter A, at MassiveJoes.com, and you may get an answer to your question in the next edition of MJ Q&A, coming to you from MassiveJoes.com.